Cashiers of Reddit, do you judge us customers by the products or quantity of products we buy? What are some stereotypes? I used to work at a drugstore through college and hardly ever found myself judging anyone's purchases. Sometimes they'd buy a really tacky perfume and spritz it 20 times on themselves before leaving, but that wasn't really a judgment on their purchase. I will say though, to any people who feel weird about it, we aren't judging you for buying rubbers. You don't have to feel scared to walk up with a box, we're just happy you're being safe, and 10 times out of 10, I wasn't even paying attention. 481, not at all. We serve so many people and handle so many products, we will already have forgotten what you bought by the time we're serving the next customer. Having said that, I had an internal chuckle at how common it was for people to buy condoms and pregnancy tests at the same time. Condoms are the only item I'm too embarrassed to bring up to the counter because I feel like I'd get judged. I don't know why, even in full face mask and sunglasses I can't do it. It's nice to hear in this thread people don't give a shit, but I'm still paying for condoms via self-checkout. Lol. Once when I was 17 and buying condoms from a gas station, the guy tried to ID me. I argued with him that there was no age limit and he finally got his manager who resolved it, and then the manager reassured me with "we want you to get these" or something like that. Definitely my most awkward condom buying experience. Edit, added buying to last sentence because I can't say it's my most awkward condom experience in general. I worked in a bookstore for several years and I absolutely judged people who insisted on paying in exact change, especially when there was a line. I actually had an older lady count out 195 pennies for a bookmark once only to come up a couple short and pay for it with a 5. Ugh, those people suck. Reminds me of a great story that happened to me though. I was at a grocery store and went to go pay for my 6-pack. I got in line behind some lady buying a single piece of pie. It rings up to like $2.50 and she pays with, I'm guessing, a $5 bill, but as soon as she takes the receipt she stops in her tracks and starts complaining, saying she thought it was on sale. Cashier says she doesn't think so but she'll check. The lady is persistent and I'm just standing there dumbfounded that she's making a fuss over 50 cents. She didn't look like the kind of person that needed to pinch pennies. This then turns into a whole thing where, despite that she had already paid, insisted that she wants the sale for this single piece of pie and was gonna go to the bakery to prove that there was a sale sign where she got the single piece of pie. Cashier agrees and lady takes off to take a picture of the sign, so I finally get to pay for my beer. Now the thing is, Kroger has a machine that automatically gives you the coin change. So I grab my change from the machine and get to my car when I noticed I have 50 cents more than I should. I realized I took pie lady's change that she never picked up from the coin machine. I like to imagine she was upset that even if she did get the pie for sale, she was still short 50 cents. As a previous late-night cashier at both Safeway, Wawa, and Papa John's, I care very little about what you are buying, honestly. Doesn't cross my mind in the slightest. How much longer I have to sit in that hellhole was usually my main thought. 3 more hours, fuck. 1 more hour? I guess I can manage. The fact that you're buying a triple pepperoni double anchovy large pizza all for yourself at 3 a.m.? I really don't care actually. Can you just stop coming at 3 a.m. so I don't have to be here that late? I worked in a small convenience store in a small town, so about 60% of my customers were regulars. They were always pleased and surprised when I had their cigarettes waiting for them or reminded them they hadn't asked for ice if they normally got ice every day. With teens buying condoms I tried to be extra. I'm not noticing what you're buying because some 16-year-olds kind of cringe buying condoms from a 50-something woman. Kudos to you, young man. I'd have paid for them if I thought that would increase the number buying them. The only time I ever felt the need to comment on someone's purchase was a guy buying 1 6-pack of Stella and a bunch of Milwaukee Best. I paused. And then had to ask if he had a friend he didn't like that wanted to share beer or what the hell? He said he drank the Stella and then once he was drunk he might as well drink piss. I congratulated him on his cost-effectiveness. I was a cashier during high school and a brief stint in my mid-20s. Didn't judge. You want the Left Behind series? Great. You want James Patterson's newest book? Fine. You want 50 Shades of Grey? Grand. Just don't be rude, and listen to the spiel cashiers are required to give on whatever product the company wants them to push. Just say no thank you. Don't go on about how I already donate to a charity or saying no before they even open their mouths. I worked at a CVS back when I was 19 during summer in college. The only customers I ever judged were those extreme couponers, people with 20 different membership cards buying a chain of shit in 60 different transactions and holding up the line for 30 minutes. Other than that I don't care. Only time I interrupted a customer was a guy who was trying to buy a tiny bottle of baby oil and condoms, and only because oil-based lubricants generally we barely notice and we don't care. The only thing that would make me judge what you were buying was if it were somehow related to your shitty behavior or personality. For example, people who buy cigarettes and lottery can sometimes be very rude about it, saying things like give me a package of X brand or give me 2 plays on tonight's draw. I'd quite but ask any cashier who sells these items regularly and they'll confirm it's a thing. So would I notice someone buying nothing but cigarettes and lotto? No. Would I notice it as they're being an asshole? Yup. If you're asking do we make fun of people who buy like 20 packs of condom and lube and nothing else, or 50 enemas on flyer deal, I have sold these exact quantities of these exact items before. The answer is no. Do I remember it? Obviously. But it's not something I'd make a point of being a jerk about to the customer or to my coworker later. It's like whatever. Worked at an In-N-Out Burger, didn't usually judge, except for the people who ordered a cheeseburger meal with no cheese. Me, so, the hamburger meal? Customer I definitely judged, no you ignorant fast food cashier. I want the number 2 but no cheese. Why would you think that's a number 3? I work at McDonald's. I don't judge unless you're just an asshole. Nearly got fired BC I accidentally stepped on some random dude's shoes and he decided that me saying sorry wasn't enough and that he wanted me to get down on my knees and brush his shoes off since I'd scuffed them. I told the prick that it wasn't gonna happen and he insisted on making a scene and pushing me, so I grabbed him by his shirt collar and dragged him outside. When I let go he tried to swing at me, so I closed the door and locked it. So yeah, unless you're a prick I don't judge, not really, mostly on how you interact with us, sometimes about how you pay. If you are a jerk, obvious judgment. X tells customer the machine must fill out check but they insist on taking 5 minutes to slowly fill it out when I have a terribly long line. The man who only ever paid in quarters. Seriously, so many questions. Time I judged on items. Person was returning a ton of disposable razor packages, said she bought her daughter the wrong one. Okay. As I was getting the receipts ready to give back to her, I saw she used a coupon on all the razors to get them for free. Damn the scam. Worked at a gas station for 2+ years. Only judge you if you're a dick. Like if you're always an asshole, and you smell bad, and it's 9 a.m. and you're getting 3 packs of Marbreads and 10x $1 tall boys of Molson Ice. Then yes. Or if you're old enough to be my grandpa, acting like your shit doesn't stink cause you drive a base model BMW, all you get is a Fiji water and you throw your money at me. Yep. Judging you as well. Never understood that. Most 18-year-olds start off at a shitty job. Like just BC you're 35 years into your career doesn't mean you're better than the kid who just got their first job a year or 2 ago. I always judged all of the above as worthless humans who do nothing but detract from the remainder of the population's quality of life. I love seeing them around town now that I'm not paid to serve them, give a fuck or use formalities. Lol. Got my revenge a couple times when I saw the same miserable humans at other places in town, giving the cashiers a hard time. It felt awesome. Former cashier, I honestly never even really noticed what you were buying. As soon as I scanned and bagged it, it was out of my mind. The only thing that would stick with me was the whole rotisserie chickens we sold because they smelled great and after a long shift someone would inevitably be buying like 4 of the fucking things and all I could think of they wouldn't notice one missing, if I just unhinge my jaw and consume it whole. That's possible, right? When I was a cashier, I didn't give a damn what you bought. The only thing I was even concerned with was if you were an asshole or not. Worked in toy stores at an amusement park for children when I was 16 or so. I only ever judged people that bought 1 liter of still water for about €5, $6, while there was free access to tap water. You might think tap water can be unhealthy, but yeah, no, not here. We literally have stricter quality regulations for tap water than for bottled water. I mean, who buys a liter of water for €5? When I was a cashier, I barely noticed what people bought most of the time. There was one guy though, who always came in and bought 4x 40-pound boxes of bananas that I remember, and he said he only ate bananas and showed me an old photo of himself really fat every time I checked him out. I didn't judge him exactly, I just remember him as a notable customer. One time I went to the grocery store and bought potato everything. Chips, bread, frozen fries, frozen hash browns, actual potatoes, vodka. I was hoping to give the cashier a good laugh. The cashier didn't even react. She just rang everything up and told me the generic "have a nice day." Cashiers are too busy working a shitty job to give a damn about what we buy. I used to be a cashier at a department store when I was around 16-17, and I usually didn't really judge or care about what people would buy. I would just easily be able to notice though if someone was there for sales because they would only buy the clearance clothing, or those uppity rich moms who would buy like $2,000 worth of the high-end stuff and not bat an eyelash. The only time I kind of judged someone was this lady started telling me her life story randomly as I was ringing up tons of merchandise for her, and she was telling me what school she was paying for her kids to go to and how she wanted her son to get into Harvard. She bought a bunch of fancy expensive clothes and perfume and some other stuff I couldn't remember. Then she waved her hands over some of the cheaper clothes she bought and said, "Oh yeah, this is all for my maid, she needs new clothes to work for me, and this Fitbit is for her as well because she needs to lose weight, too," and laughed. It was weird and kind of uncomfortable, a little bit different, but I used to be a delivery driver once upon a time. I never judged people for the quantity of food they ordered or their pizza toppings. There were a couple occasions where the pizza order was so weird, it got some attention from the cooks who were making it. There was one with anchovies, jalapenos, and pineapple. I actually asked the guy if it was a practical joke with the intention of not making him pay for it if it was. He didn't look super happy about that, so I didn't push it. Another time someone ordered one of our specialty pizzas that used barbecue sauce instead of tomato sauce, then he added a whole bunch of ingredients to it. His personal 8 inches pizza was like $20 because of all the extras. And he was a chef at a really nice restaurant. All the cooks were like, "This is the weirdest thing I've ever made." I didn't ask about it, but I tried to recreate it for my shift meal that day. It was alright. I have worked as a cashier in a grocery store for 2.5 years now. If I look at your groceries at all, as in really looking at what it is only for inspiration for what to eat when my shift is done. I don't really take in whatever it is you're buying. I'm focused on speed because it makes it look like my shift goes by faster. When I was a cashier at JCPenney's, the only time I would judge is if you brought a giant pile of clothes. Then as I am ringing you notice that you're going over your, so at the end you end up grabbing and clothes and saying, "Take this off." This would make me so mad as it's tough to find one clothing item out of 20 on the transaction. I don't mind if you need to remove 1 or 2 items, but when it's nearly half of the items but it's one at a time, it's annoying. 9. I used to judge people based on what brand of cigarettes they asked for. If they brought Embassy Red, they would have filthy fingers and would pay with sweaty banknotes, and most of the time would throw a racist comment at the nearest colleague who wasn't white. If they brought Vogue, they would be a Karen and I would expect them to ask for the manager at some point during the transaction. Marlboro Gold were cool, I never had a problem with those guys. There were more, but it's been a really long time since I worked retail. One pattern I've picked up over the years is that white people like wood tip black and milds, and black people like plastic tip black and milds. I don't mean most of the time either. Every time. It's gotten to the point where I don't even ask them to specify what kind of black and mild they want. It's never been wrong. Worked at a gas station for a few years, always thought it was weird I'd see the same people at the exact same time every single day buying the exact same thing. Baffling. Now I work at a grocery store and I like to see what people buy and try and guess what they're going to make. I have someone who orders Instacart every Thursday and makes tacos. As far as judging someone goes, if they're not wearing a mask but buying all organic shit, I'll internally roll my eyes. And I'm always perplexed by the people buying 15 gallons of milk or 48 cans of creamed corn. I sell wine, and old white males, exclusively, always have to tell me about their trip to Tuscany or Bordeaux or wherever. Like I give a shit about a stranger's vacation. Never Chinese people, never black people, never women, never young people. Old, white, male. Stop, I'm a cashier at a retail store. I never judge what or how much stuff customers buy. I definitely judge those who are tag switchers though. Don't act like I don't know you're trying to buy a pair of Adidas sneakers for $12.99 when they're actually $40. Also don't appreciate when customers insist on telling me the price of an item with no price ticket attached. I can't just take their word for it.